What up, LK Mafia? It's your boy Artofkickz. It just like that. We back with another one. Alright, y'all. So, we got a video here. This one is for extremely disturbing interviews with serial killers. Oh my goodness. This is about to be something. I don't know if I'm ready for this mess. What are these men gonna say? Or should I say these monsters? Yes, I'm prejudging. And rightfully so. They're serial killers. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's go.
Whilst there are multiple disturbing interviews, some of the worst come from conversations with killers. So, from the woman who shot her own children to the man who murdered a family. Join us. Responsible for the murders of 5 women at only the age of 21, Bernard Giles was fortunately captured in 1974. More recently, Giles was interviewed by broadcaster Piers Morgan.
Oh wow, he interviewed him?
That day that you went out when you did kill for the first time, was that a morning when you woke up and you were with your wife and daughter and something hit you and you went,
no,
today may be the day?
every day may be the day.
Every day?
Every day may be the day.
Do you know the name of your first victim?
No, sir. Not now. Nancy Jerry.
Did you know anything about her life?
I found out later she was a singer in a bar. That was it.
Tell me what happened.
Picked her up in Titusville. There's a wooded area, and I pulled off the road.
What did she look like?
A little shorter than me, fairly well built, pretty but not particularly pretty, brown hair. That's about it.
And at what point did she realize that you were going to harm
Well, not necessarily that I was going to harm her, because most of them don't assume you're actually going to kill them. Most of them assume it's a rape or something like that.
her? And what did you then do?
Told her to get out of the car, and that's when she became afraid. Up to that point, I assumed that she thought it was just going to be a rape. I walked her over in front of a tree, and then I shot her.
Wow.
Just like that?
Yes, sir.
And what were you feeling as you did that?
I mean, the thing is what is your passion in your life? What is the thing that you like to do more than anything else? And you're doing it. You are so there that you can almost, it's like you can see the atoms vibrating. I mean, it's difficult to describe.
The thought process is fascinating. I'm sitting here looking at this man. For one, I would be concerned and worried. Maybe there's armed guards or guards in general around as his interview is being conducted, but he's not in any restraints, no handcuffs, no nothing, just sitting here talking. And then you listening to him talk, and he doesn't sound too psychotic or crazy. His response was fascinating because he's like, you have a passion for something. His passion just so happened to be taking people's lives. It makes you wonder. It makes you think. If any and everything on this, as far as people are concerned, if there's a passion for any and everything, why wouldn't there be a passion for something like this? It's wrong. Oh, man, it's crazy.
Soon after the killings, his wife and daughter left the trailer park and moved out of the state. He would never see them again.
You lost a wife, you lost your daughter.
I lost everything.
You lost everything, yeah. And do you know what happened to your daughter?
Was,
Have you ever heard from her?
no, sir.
How does that make you feel?
What can you do with that?
We had a picture there.
You?
What do you feel when you see your daughter?
I don't know exactly.
When you look at your own daughter, that
I was wondering what he was going to say right there. I'm listening very closely to what it is that he's saying. His actions, his mannerisms, all of that. I think this guy named this interviewing him is Peter Morgan. I believe that's his name. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But when he asked him, he's like, what do you feel when you look at your daughter? And his response was, I don't know exactly. This is the second time that he's kind of made it clear that he is unaware of his emotions. He doesn't quite understand them. At least that's what he wants us to believe.
age, smiling, innocent, happy. What do you feel about the young women you killed?
I don't put those together.
You see? Third time.
I mean, what would you feel about a man who snatched your daughter and terrorized and raped and killed her?
I certainly wouldn't appreciate it.
He wouldn't appreciate it.
That's it? That's how you'd feel?
Like I said, I certainly wouldn't appreciate it.
He wouldn't appreciate it. Why is that his response? Why wouldn't he feel rage or anger? It's almost as like he would just kind of write it off as being unfortunate. Somebody did to my daughter what I've done to someone else's daughter. That's unfortunate. Evil.
Believed to have killed around 70 people, 49-year-old Tommy Lynn Sells was executed in 2014. Years earlier, on November 18th, 1987, he brutally murdered the Dardine family. Sells had first overpowered the father, 29-year-old Russell, then severed his penis and shot him dead. After this, he'd raped Russell's wife, 30-year-old Elaine, before using a baseball bat to beat her and their 2-year-old son, Peter, to death. Finally, as the severity of the beating caused Elaine to go into labour, Sells killed their newborn baby girl.
Evil. The beating caused this woman to go into labor. Wow. What? I've never could imagine putting two things like that together. A woman being severely beaten and then having to go into labor and experience both of those type of pains. Wow. And then he took the life of the newborn child too. Evil. Almost as if he's possessed by the devil.
So altogether, about how many you killed, the question is, and you think your answer is what?
See, you trying to sew me up in a wow. I don't know. You know, do the math. a couple 3 year, 4 year, for 20 years. What does that add up to? 50 to 70. I'll go with that.
Okay.
Probably more.
Some of the people you killed, they could be men, they could be women, they could be kids. It was like an equal opportunity.
I didn't form a pattern as most.
Yeah, it was like anybody was fair game.
It did not matter. Blood is blood. It didn't matter man, woman, child.
Yeah, no more thrill to kill the mayor of the town than the homeless guy on the street.
No.
Quite a few times, not all the times, but quite a few times, it was a mother and a kid.
And I have an answer for that.
Okay.
And I thought hard about that because it's been like smacked up inside my head a time or two. I know what I went through as a child. The nightmares, the drama, the reality of who I was and what was done to me. I never wanted that to happen to another person. I had something against that person. And there was another person there that witnessed it. I didn't want them to carry that on their shoulder the rest of their life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you were putting out of the misery they would have had if they had to live through all that.
That's the best I can answer it.
Wow. Sick, twisted, demented. This man said the reason why he would take out the mother and then the child was because of what he himself saw and experienced growing up. And how it psychologically damaged him. So he figured, if I did this to this child's mother, this child would grow up with a lot of heartache and pain because of what happened to their mother. I must rid them of that pain as well. Wow. Evil. Pure evil.
If it was just a question of putting the other person, besides the one that you were targeting, out of the misery of having to live life with missing mama or missing, whoever, maybe you would have gone about it in a gentle way.
Is there a gentle way?
Yeah.
Oh, how you know when they strap you to a gurney that everything inside of you just ain't burning up?
In one case, Sells murdered an entire family, bludgeoning a pregnant woman, her 3-year-old, and her unborn baby to death.
It's the sensation of the blood. It's the sensation tying that scarf around your neck and just watching your eyes. It's the sensation seeing that skin pull apart. It's sensation sticking that knife in and just pulling and knowing it's sharp enough just go all the way up.
Was there anything different the first time when you killed a person?
Imagine being in prison with people like that. Imagine being in prison with people like that. That has to be terrifying.
Was there a different rush, a different feeling?
That first one, I can still see it in slow motion.
These type of people really don't need to be ever released. I don't care if they're 80, 90 years old. They don't ever need to be released. Now, you might think everybody deserves a second chance. Not everybody deserves a second chance. No, not everybody deserves a second chance. Especially when you've taken lives and done this things.
And each one after that became more
speeded up.
more routine. I can't find the dragon I'm chasing no more. I can't find that rush, that same release of anger I felt that first time.
So there was a release of anger.
Oh, without a doubt. It is like busted a piece of glass and there's just little shivers all up in there.
Cells seemed to feed off his...
Wow, he said after the first time, no other time was he able to experience the same rush. He said it's like he was chasing that dragon. The way that he talks is almost like he is romanticizing it's hard for me to say the words that I want to say.
Own anger, of which there was no shortage. He became addicted to the release of this anger, which occurred through violent means. Paradoxically for Cells, evil for him was other people.
Today, I might say, you know, Tommy, Dr. Stone, he's okay. And tomorrow I might wake up and say, you know that bastard, he tried to slide a slip one in on me. You understand?
I do.
Woo! Yo, you know, that statement had me thinking for some reason of cartel members or cartel drug pens. I feel like they're that way. Like, oh, one day they might be like, yo, he was okay. That guy you brought, he was okay. And then they get to thinking about the conversations they had with somebody. They're like, yo, you know, he tried to play me. Kill him. It's crazy.
Just glass.
You think?
Gosh. It's like this dude knows he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. There's no need for him to fake, flaunt, or put on this facade that he is innocent or a decent person. He might as well just be 100% himself and tell it how it was for him. He's not getting out of there. And it seemed like this will be the case for all of these guys. And it makes sense. I never thought about this until today, until that moment where I said what I said, that you can go interview some of these serial killers and they will just keep it a buck. They will tell you how they felt or why they feel the way they feel, or at least try to give an explanation. Because hell, they're no longer free to roam the world. So why not? Why not? What do you have to hide? It's crazy.
Admittedly, Diane Downs isn't a serial killer, but that isn't through a lack of trying. In 1983, after a string of short relationships, Diane finally found love in her co-worker, Robert Knickerbocker. Robert, however, rejected her, stating he had no interest in being a father to her 3 children, Christiane, Cheryl Lynn, and Danny. Subsequently, on May 19th, 1983, Diane pulled over onto the side of a quiet road and shot each of them multiple times. She then shot herself in the arm and drove to the nearest hospital. Tragically, Cheryl was already dead, whilst Danny was paralysed and Christy barely alive. Meanwhile, Diane told doctors that they'd been attacked by a bushy-haired man who'd attempted to hijack the car. Police, though, were sceptical, and after a lengthy investigation, arrested her on February 28th, 1984.
Wow.
We were just out, I guess, sightseeing, I guess you'd say. And the kids got tired. They fell asleep in the car.
Wait a minute. Was she dating that psycho man? And what? They found each other. They were psycho, both of them together. He told her, nah, I don't have any interest in being a father to your 3 kids. So she ended their lives so she can be with him, maybe? Sick. I'm just, I can throw up.
So I decided to just head on home. But I saw a road
I don't even care to hear what she got to say, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not turning the volume up.
I hadn't been on before. We like to take back roads. And just went down that road. And there was a guy standing in the road.
Lies.
Flagging me down, so I stopped. If I had shot my own children, would I not have done a good job of it? Why would I have taken my kids to the hospital? Wouldn't I have made sure they were dead and then cried crocodile tears? That's insane to think that I would do such a thing and then bring the witnesses in against myself. That's crazy. Christy woke up, and as I say, she may be the only one to get me out of this. Would I have brought her to the hospital? Wouldn't she be the one that I would...
Screw you. I want to hear what your kids got to say.
Make sure is dead. There are too many holes in it.
I want to hear the
When this man
survivors.
shot my daughter, my first reaction was to snap back to my childhood, to the pain that had happened to me back then, my marriage, my entrapment by society. This man was bigger than me. He was stronger than me. He had more power because he had a gun. And I stood there and I looked at Christy reaching, and the blood that just kept gushing out of her mouth. What do you do? Everybody says you sure were lucky. Well, I don't feel very lucky. I couldn't tie my damn shoes for about 2 months. It is very painful. It is still painful. The scar is going to be there forever. I'm going to remember that night for the rest of my life, whether I want to or not. I don't think I was very lucky. I think my kids were lucky. If I had been shot the way they were, we all would have died. You can't replace children, but you can replace the effect that they give you. And they give me love, they give me satisfaction, they give me stability. They give me a reason to live and a reason to be happy, and that's gone. They took...
You see this woman's face? You see her face? She looking at her like, I don't believe you, woman. And if you listen to this woman talking, she sound like she's on it. Like everything that's coming out of her mouth makes so much sense. Like she's so right. That she's so innocent, but she don't really hear what she's saying. You can hear all the holes in what she's saying. She hears all the holes. That's why she has this expression on her face. She can hear every hole in what she's saying. I hear it too. She's not making a whole lot of sense. Listen to this one part right here that she says.
The blood that just kept gushing out.
Look at that. You saw the face she made when she said that?
Out of her mouth. And
she said that as almost as if she enjoyed that sight, watching blood come out of her daughter's mouth. And then when she said that, hold on, we'll get to it. I'll talk about it then. Hold on.
What do you do? Everybody says you sure were lucky.
This part right here.
I don't feel very lucky. I couldn't tie my damn shoes for about 2 months.
That's her complaint? That she couldn't tie her shoes for 2 months.
Been shot the way they were, we all would have died. You can't replace...
Listen to this.
If I had been shot the way they were, we all would have died. You can't replace children, but you can replace the effect that they give you.
She said you can't replace children, but you can replace the effect that they give you. And then listen to what she says, the effects that the children give. Listen.
And they give me love, they give me satisfaction, they give me stability.
Love, satisfaction, and stability. She's saying that stuff can be replaced, but the children themselves can't. So basically what she's saying was she was willing to let her kids go so that she can get the love, satisfaction, the stability, or whatever it is what she was saying from a man.
They give me a reason to live and a reason to be happy, and
do they really?
And that's gone. They took it from me. But
look at her face with that smirk. She's being disingenuous.
Children are so easy to conceive.
Bam. You see the holes? Children are so easy to conceive. She can make more. I don't think she was really paying attention to what she was saying. If she was trying to make herself seem to be so innocent. Evil.
At night, when I close my eyes, I can see Christy reaching her hand out to me while I'm driving. And the blood just keep coming out of her mouth. And Maybe it'll fade too with time, but I don't think so. That haunts me the most.
Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. Evil. Evil. I can't believe this mess.
Arguably the most infamous serial killer of all time. You've likely seen most of Ted Bundy's interviews.
Oh, Ted Bundy was that dude, man. Ted Bundy was that dude. Talk about women loved him.
However,
They still do.
there is one very rare and disturbing recording that few have heard.
Uh-oh.
In it, Bundy describes the murder of 18-year-old student George N. Hawkins.
Uh-oh.
I was moving up the alley using a briefcase and some crutches, and a young woman walked down, and about halfway down the block I encountered her and asked her to help me carry the briefcase, which she did, and we walked back up the alley. Basically, when we reached the car, what happened was I knocked her unconscious with the crowbar, and handcuffed her and put her in the passenger side of the car and drove away. One of the things that makes it a little bit, well, among the things that makes it difficult is that at this point she was quite lucid, talking about things. It's funny, it's not funny, but it's odd the kinds of things people say under those circumstances. She had a Spanish test the next day, and she thought that I had taken her to help tutor me for a Spanish test. It's kind of odd. The long and short of it was that I again knocked her unconscious and strangled her. Can you hear that? The Hawkins girl's head was severed and taken up the road about 25 to 50 yards and buried in a location about 10 yards west of the road on a rocky hillside. By this time it was almost dawn, but on this particular morning I was just absolutely, again, just shocked, kind of scared to death, shocked, horrified about, and I went down the road throwing the briefcase, the crutches, the rope, the clothes, just tossing them out the window, and the crowbar, everything, handcuffs, everything. I gotta get mad at myself a few weeks later because I'd have to go out and buy another pair. I mean, it's not comical, but that's what would happen. This was just, I was in a sheer state of panic, of just absolute horror, you know. It's like, at that point in time, this consciousness of what has really happened. It's like you break out of a fever or something. I would, that is. And so I drove, talk about details coming back. I couldn't find one of the shoes, so I thought it was there, but it wasn't. So I went back. This was the next day. Got on my bicycle, rode back to that little parking lot. I knew there were police all over the place by that time. So I went back to that parking lot and I found both the pierced earrings and the shoe laying in the parking lot. So I surreptitiously gathered them up and rode off. So, there you are.
That's insane to hear him say that stuff. That's another thing that's troubling too, is the fact that a lot of these guys, these serial killers, they know that they're going to be famous if they commit enough of these heinous crimes. So they'll be willing to tell their story so freely because why not? What fun is it if nobody knows exactly what happened? Evil. And it's said that at any given moment in the U.S. alone, there are 20 plus serial killers roaming the states. Y'all be safe, be careful, be on alert. We live in a dangerous world, unfortunately. But man, this was disturbing. This was disturbing. Woo! Look, I'm out. I don't want to say nothing else. See ya.